Hello, hello, hello. Good evening and welcome to Movers and Shakers Global. We are back with another phenomenal guest as a special guest for our wonderful interview tonight. For me, just to start with introducing myself, my name is Swapna Ambegaonkar. I'm a certified success coach. I'm a professional speaker and an international best-selling author. And
Hi, my name is Amit, and I am also a professional speaker, and I am the co-author of the book Your Profound Success. I'm a business consultant, and I've been helping entrepreneurs to structure and monetize their businesses. And today, to this show, this specific show, which is our show, Movers and Shakers Global, we want to create this amazing platform for a very, very specific reason. That is to help you meet some of the amazing people that we know ourselves.
That's right. This is a platform where we have started a couple months ago, where we are in conversation with these amazing individuals who create great accomplishments in their life. And one of the most important mission in their life, in our life, is to spread positivity. And I think especially now in the times that we are in, there are certain very fearful times. People are still in a lot of fear because we have spoken to a lot of people and they're still fearful. They're very uncertain about what's going to happen in the future, about the economy. Everything is in a turmoil even now. So that's why actually we decided to start this interview platform where we know some amazing individuals who are creating massive changes in their lives, not only for themselves, but also for people who they associate with, and for the people and for the globe on the whole. And that's when this idea just downloaded upon us. And we said, we need to bring these people forth to you so that you get empowerment and inspiration just by listening to them, not just by being exposed to what they have to offer to you and to your loved ones.
That's amazing. Yes, that's truly the idea for you to get benefit from these powerful individuals that are in our lives. So today's guest is a very special person, and we're going to introduce to him very shortly. But he's a very profound leader in terms of making significant changes in the lives of children and making some huge impact in the society by helping them be their best in terms of their health and their well-being. So help me welcome this powerful guest for today, Dr. Chris Neveling. Hello, Dr. Chris.
Hello there, Swapna and Amit, and it's an honor to be on your show, Movers and Shakers Global. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome, and we are so excited to have you as our special guest for tonight.
That's right. So, Dr. Chris, I understand that you are a leading expert in optimal health in a natural way, and you empower the hyperactive children actually how to shine. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. That's what I do. I have a solution. It took me years to figure this out and to perfect it, whereby you can help a hyperactive kid, become, so to say, normal again and direct his energy into something productive and be the star that they usually are, above average intelligence, and it just has to be corrected and directed.
Wow.
So that's what I do.
That's such an amazing thing for you to be doing. That's really powerful. Now, just to introduce yourself, I have certain things that I want to share with the audience now. Dr. Chris here, he's consulted more than 500,000 kids. Can you believe that? 500,000 kids, and delivered more than 1,000 babies since he graduated in 1983. That's his track record.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Really amazing.
We are really honored to be speaking to you today, Dr. Chris. It's such an honor to be talking to you today.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not just a theorist. I'm on the ground. I have practical experience, and if I see somebody and it's not a profound outcome, they would come back to me, look me in the eyes and say, okay, doc, what do you do next? Yeah. So it's always my responsibility to do the best for them and get results. That's my bottom line.
Very nice. Good. So Dr. Chris, you're also the founder of Power Kids MD. You're also the best-selling author of the book No More Band-Aids: Finding Answers in a Broken Medical System. And you're an international speaker, and you educate parents to equip their children handle the root cause of hyperactivity and not fall victim to broken medical system. Wow, wow, wow. This is just
I, yeah,
amazing,
I like
amazing.
I like the word that you handle the cause of the hyperactivity and not just the symptoms. Because we totally understand that, especially because both of us, we come from a healthcare background. We are both registered physiotherapists, and we back home in India, actually, we have treated, or we have, like, helped a lot of kids for rehabilitation. And we know that most of the time, most of the doctors treat the symptoms, and they don't really reach to the cause of the problem. And I think that is what really caught my attention when I was going through your bio. So that's, if you want to talk a little bit about that, that would be wonderful, Dr. Chris.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've been doing general medicine and emergency room medicine for 40 years, and that's pretty hands-on. If somebody cuts himself open or has a heart attack, you do something right there to fix him. That's the big fix, and that's what doctors are, like, very special for. But then there's a whole field of things, of chronic diseases, and doctors are trained, and they're also guided by a protocol. They have to follow this recipe book. If you have A, you must do B, otherwise your college will kick you out and you lose your license. So the pharma has been behind this to kind of research things that they can monetize, and so they want to sell drugs to keep a long-term patient. It's all meant well, I suppose, but they treat symptoms.
Wow.
And if you realize that, I always saw that I don't see patients, and suddenly I see one patient, and then he would regularly come for a couple of months, and he says to me, "Doc, I never saw you when I'm camping on your doorstep. What's up with that?" So, well, why is it that this guy suddenly, like, down the hill, is not up there anymore? So I always study lots of other modalities like chiropractor, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, looking for more answers. The more I can give potentially in the basket of healing, the more the patient would be able to benefit. And then I kind of realized that, the body is magic. It can heal itself if you allow it to. We always blame things, like we blame a toxin and we say, okay, the toxin's going to kill you and it gives you the cancer. But look at this. I mean, if you cut yourself on the hand, then all you have to do is leave it alone for 2 weeks and the wound's gone. It magically heals from the inside. But if you pull it open every day, if you pull it open every day and you put some salve on and all sorts of stuff, it's probably going to take longer to heal. Now it gets red and swollen and inflamed and painful, and you can't lose function. And then you take a painkiller and you take an anti-inflammatory, and you're stopping this whole process. Now it takes twice as long to heal. Eventually, the body manages to heal, although you're not completely allowing it. So, the toxins is, every day we live, and our body has damage from living life. And if you have toxins and poisons, you break down yourself more. But the trick is, if the body has the building blocks, it can always repair this again. When it gets behind with the building blocks, that's when things fall apart, and that's when the toxins have a profound impact, and you don't recover. You have, the dreaded disease or symptoms.
Right.
And the symptom is that the body is speaking to you. It's saying, this joint hurts. So it says to you, I'm trying to heal and do not manage. So if you can find out what is the thing that the body requires to heal, and you give it to the body, it will magically heal, just like the cut on your hand.
That makes so much sense. That really makes a lot of sense, because, it's really important. Now that you were saying, as you were speaking, it came to my mind that it is really important to get to the cause of it, right? And we all know that our body has the capability of recovering and healing itself. And it's amazing that you actually take advantage of that, and that's what you prescribe, and that's how you handle your patients. So that's really fascinating. That is so fascinating.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome, Dr. Chris. So I understand your specialty is specifically kids. And one thing I wanted to start this conversation also about is ADD and ADHD. So some people that may be listening to this interview, and we have some people already on. We have Vijaya here, who's one of our very, very awesome client and is doing something spectacular in the world right now. We have our very good friend Della on also joining us, and we have
Hi.
some other people. So hello there, and welcome to the show, Movers and Shakers Global.
Hello to people watching on Facebook. Della, hi Vijaya. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining us. And this is a phenomenal interview with the incredible Dr. Chris. We also have people on YouTube. It's going on YouTube, Instagram. So we do have a lot of people watching us. So yes, you wanted to talk about ADHD.
Yes. So let's talk about ADD and ADHD. Like Dr. Chris, let's start with an introduction of what it is from your viewpoint. How do you see these things?
Yes, so you must realize that symptoms are manifestations in the body, and let's say let's take a stupid example, you have a headache. That means something's going on inside you that the body's trying to heal. There's some damage or some insult or some stress on some part of the brain or something up in the head. Okay, and it's not, if you just treat the headache, I give you an aspirin, tomorrow the pain is gone. You say, doc, high five, you're the best doc, my headache's gone. But why is there 20 headache tablets in a box? Because you probably have to use it 20 times. One doesn't cut it. And you're suppressing the symptom, and now you're having the snowball effect. So hyperactivity is basically, children when they grow up, when they're 5-6 years old, they can walk very well, they can run, they can communicate. Now they're curious about life, so they start doing things. What do? They don't sit and read the magazine with you. They're on the roof. They're running around. They jump on the branch. They do all the crazy stuff. And it's part of living. You just keep them in a safe environment, and they will enjoy. They'll burn up their energy. But so the hyperactivity is like a little overactive, but it's not directed energy. It doesn't sit and study and build big things. You just kind of from the one thing, he jumps to the next thing, all over the place, all over the wall, so to speak. And the second thing is now the medical system comes along, and they recognize if you drug these kids, you slow them down, and then they can sit still in class, and you got a good kid. Your kid is not. You can manage your kid. You can. Because they're not so routinable. You try and routine your kid, go to sleep at 6, 7 o'clock and wake up at 8 o'clock, and then we brush teeth, then we have breakfast, then we go to school. So he's not falling in with it. Right. He's all over the place. You got to go catch him. Yeah. So now comes the medical system. They say, okay, well, let's call this a disease. But there's no test you can do for it. Now they call it ADD and ADHD. So attention deficit disorder. In other words, the kid cannot put attention on things. He's a bit distracted.
Right.
And not more severe is the more hyperactive guy. He's now attention deficit disorder plus hyperactivity. He's all over the walls too. So he's bouncy and he doesn't focus. So he can't put attention on something, and he's hyperactive. So they have these two diseases which there's no test for. There's no pathological, inquisitions you can do to make this diagnosis. It's just an impression. The child is a bit wild. You call him ADD. Once you have this diagnostic code, it sounds very fancy, and you can write it down in your assessment as a doctor or the therapist, and this is a billing code 11376 or so, and you can now bill it from the government, and they pay you money for the visit. If you don't have it, you cannot bill. So now it becomes this whole thing. Now suddenly children get labeled, you're this, you're that, But the discriminatory is also almost like a color bar. This is the white, this is the yellow, this is the brown, this is the green, this is the white person. And you discriminate. Kids. This is a quiet kid, this is a hyperactive one, and this one's just stupid, he can't focus. So now you're discriminating, you're drugging them, you're making a zombie, and this kid goes downhill. And what he really needs is quite something else. Now everybody thinks he's got a disease, and they go to the doctor and they get this prescription. Just by the way, the stuff that and I'll explain this in a little bit in another question or another part of the discussion here. So the things that they give them are amphetamines. It's like Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta. Those are what we call amphetamines. They are the strongest drugs in history that medicine can make. Oh yes, they just get a little bit, but it's still the strongest drug. That is the stuff that you put in this little dart gun that you shoot an elephant with, and he runs 20 steps.
Wow.
Amphetamines. That's what they shoot elephants and rhinoceroses with. It's what they give the kids. Okay, but we'll get back to the diagnosis of hyperactivity or ADD and ADHD. And then there's a spectrum of disease. There's Asperger's, there's autism. There's a couple of things that are related to the same camp, so to speak, in the same category as ADD and ADHD, and it's called this disease, and the kids are labeled. But there's nothing wrong with them. I'll prove that to you in a moment also. But that answers your first question.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that was good that you gave us some examples so we and the audience could get more insight about what it actually means. So that's crazy. So while the body is trying to get through all this, so what are the other things that the body is trying to overcome at the same time?
Yeah, let me give you an example. So if we go through life every day, there's breakdown of the cells because we wear and tear and damage and heat and overeat and running and exercise and falling and bumping and banging and bashing and whatever. And then we sleep at night, so to speak, and the body recovers all this stuff, you see, but it needs the nutrients to recover. Now, I'll tell you a little story first. It's like, so you have a house that's standing on a pretty lot, but near the road or near the corner in the road, and you go out to the shop and a big truck comes roaring down the road. He takes out a corner of your house where your bedroom is, boom, the whole wall is flat and the roof is going to have to left. You see, now, so how are you going to fix this wall? Compare this with yourself that break down every day. There's a little damage. So you can go buy a bag of cement and then fix the house, right?
Yeah.
No, you can't. You need bricks, you need sand, you need cement, you need some little rocks. Then you need to mix this all together. You need to have some bricks. You plaster up the wall. You replace the copper pipes inside the wall that have been broken. You put some steel reinforcement in. You go buy a new window pane. You buy a new glass window and you put that in the window. Now you have to plaster the wall. You have to put a base coat on. You have to put an overcoat of paint on. Voila! It takes about 20 different things, and your house is beautifully fixed.
Right.
You know, you walk to a hardware store. It's not one little corner. It's like rows after rows after rows. That's what it takes. All the different parts and things to keep a house, to repair and to build a house. The body is the same. We have 90 essential nutrients. So there's 90 things out there that you have to eat or drink because that the body needs that. That's the building blocks of the body.
Right.
And these 90 consist of 60 minerals and trace elements. We all know calcium, and we know magnesium, and we know potassium and sodium or salt. So there's 4 things. There's 60 trace elements. There's cadmium, molybdenum, zinc, copper, manganese, phosphate, ytterbium, cobalt, nickel, arsenic, and so the list goes on. There's 60 essential trace elements that are the building blocks. That's what your body is made of. Some of them, there's very little in the body. They're called trace elements because it's very little, but it has to be there. It does some function. Okay, and then there's 12 essential amino acids. Those are the little building blocks of the proteins. There's 32 amino acids, but our body can manufacture 20 of those, but 12 of those you have to take into food. Then there's 16 vitamins. A vitamin is something your body has to take in. It cannot manufacture itself, and it does very vital metabolic function. So we know vitamin A, B, C, D, E, all the way to J, just about, those are the. So we need all the vitamins. They were all discovered. There's vitamins that people don't even know about, like vitamin P, which is proanthocyanin. Then there's vitamin like P for Papa. Then there's vitamin B17, Lartrol. There's people don't even know about these vitamins, but you need them all. Then also there's 2 essential fatty acids. Your body's full of fat and oils and stuff, and some come out of the skin and some sit on your hips here where you don't want them. But the omega-3 and omega-6, your body has to take in. They're very, very important for the cell membrane, for the nervous system. Every little cell has a membrane. It's like those little bubbles you blow when you have a birthday party for the kids. Those little bubbles. The cell has this omega, this little fat that makes this little cover or the little shell of the cell, the membrane, and everything else is inside. So you need all those things, to keep the body in good shape. It's like building the house. Medicine doesn't understand all this, and we don't know where everything does and how it works. We only understand a bit of the body, but there's much more to it than that. These are all the building blocks, and if you have them, the body can make the repairs. If you short a couple of those, you are not making repairs. So ADD and ADHD, your hyperactive kid, his body requires the nutrients. Okay. Secondly, he's very active, so he needs more nutrients than you and me. Then he also is growing, so he needs much more, even more so, because his body is like built, and he needs all these bricks. So hyperactivity and ADHD and ADD is not a mental illness. It's just a nutrient deficiency. The body's not getting the things it needs.
Wow.
And in the child's life, he's also taking pop, and he's taking, tartrazine, yellow dye. He's eating all this junk food and stuff. So those toxins, also they break the body down even more. On top of the high demand of the activity, on top of the him growing, on top of him, all those things, his body needs also the damage from these things. So you can't, if you take a child if you take him off, all the things with the colorants and the dyes and the preservatives and the processed foods, he does better. But he's not fixed because the problem is he cannot repair and recover himself. That's where the problem lies.
Wow,
So,
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the things that the toxins do. Is there more damage that the toxins do? What are the kind of damages that they do?
So look, we're in an era 100 years ago. There were not all these man-made chemicals and toxins and crop sprays and Roundup and preservatives, colorants, dyes, emulsifiers. All these things in the food to make it last longer. This toxin is something that kills life. So why do they put toxins in a food? On a tin of sardines on the shelf, so the sardines can last a year. Otherwise, it would rot within a week. So it prevents the germs from growing. But if you eat that stuff, it prevents the germs inside your gut and your own cells. It prevents them. It makes damage to them also, because what it does to the bacteria on the shelf is what it does to your body cells. So those are all toxins, and what they do is they break down. And now you can ask yourself, how much of a toxin is actually safe? And if you really think about it, none of it's safe. Not even if you take one toxin, it's going to kill one cell. Okay, you have 70 trillion cells in the body. If you take a whole, cup full of ant poison, you're going to be dead. But if you take a little bit every day, it's going to damage some things in your body for sure. There's no doubt about it. Right. These Teflon pans, these black non-stick pans that you can flip an egg 5 times, it doesn't stick. That is a very, very toxic coating that they put in the pan.
Wow.
And if the pan gets a bit older, you want to throw it away because it doesn't stick. It now starts sticking because it's all scratched and half of this black stuff is gone. Where did it go? Down your throat. You ate it. Anyway, so my friend is a very well-renowned doctor that has a big group of 1,000 doctors in an alliance under him, functional medical doctors. So his friend buys this nice set of pots and pans. And this doctor says, well, let's phone the company, Telfa, and ask them, because he told his friend, this is like dangerous poison stuff. He said, okay, let's phone the company and ask them if the stuff is dangerous. So they phoned the company, the customer service answers, and they say, sir, we just bought this nice set of, Teflon pans. Is it poison? We heard that Teflon is poison. He said, it is a little poison. He said, but don't worry, because the poison in a pan is only enough to kill a small bird. It won't kill you.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Wow! Wow! You actually say that, right? Oh my God! I can't believe it! Wow! 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 That's crazy.
Now that we have the problem identified, Dr. Chris, what is the solution? How do we address it?
Yeah, let me tell you. So I'm just making an example of the Teflon pan, but people microwave their food. It's the worst thing you can do. You destroy all the particles. Microwave vibrates. Listen to this: 33 billion. That's 9 zeros vibrations per second. It messes up everything. It takes the nutritional value. Everything crumbles. It's nice and hot, but it looks good, but it ain't got no energy. Anyway, so one doesn't have to be scared. I mean, they've made more than 200,000 chemicals since World War II, when chemistry and industry started picking up and people started discovering things and inventing things. They've made these plastics. And all these things, everything you see around you is artificially made. And so we're exposed to all these toxins and the crop spraying things. So there's many toxins. You can't avoid them, but they're not the main important thing. I'll just now explain to you in order of magnitude what's the most important, least, and less important thing. So we'll address the toxins in a moment. You cannot avoid them everywhere, but yes, we can be careful and conscious, and we can sort of avoid most of them. So I'll say a little bit about it if I explain my system to you, or the logic approach in a minute. I'll explain to you how to approach. Yeah.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
Before we do that, we have Shamaya. Oh, hi, Shamaya. That's your beautiful wife, Dr. Chris. She says hello.
Yes,
she says hello to us, and we know how incredible she is.
Yes,
as a being, as everything. She is just phenomenal person. So Shamaya, thank you for joining. We are having a great time with Dr. Chris, and this is a very, very, very important conversation, especially because now we're talking about toxins and how we can handle the toxins. So
yes, exactly. That's a very important issue to be handled. So go ahead, Dr. Chris. I'm now all ears.
Yes. So my approach, the approach that I work, this took me a lifetime of of research and testing, and not testing and trialing, but I wouldn't call it experimenting, but kind of doing the standard thing and getting results and perfecting it. So my system is discover, design, deliver. So first of all, you discover. This is the most important thing with a child with ADHD and ADD, and also for anybody out there. This is to live life. You need to discover. You need to discover, number one, that your body cannot make these essential nutrients. That's what they call essential. So you need 60 minerals and the 30 of the other, the vitamins and the amino acids and the essential fatty acids. So you need 90 building blocks, or your body cannot build itself. Okay. Some of it used to be in our food. The crops of the old days, 100 years ago, the crops were rich. There was lots of minerals in the soils. Nowadays, they mass produce, they mass farm, on a big scale. The soil gets depleted. They plant year after year after year. They plant the crops. The plants suck everything out of the soil. How do we know that? Who am I to say that the soil is depleted? You can go test the soil. There's only about 15 minerals in the soil instead of 60. It's supposed to be 60.
Wow.
And the second thing is, now what happens? How can we see the plants start rotting? They don't want to grow anymore because there's nothing in the soil. So what do they do now? They go and they put artificial fertilizer. It contains potassium, ammoniac, and nitrogen. 3 things of the 60. If you give the plant these 3, it says, hello, there's enough goodies here. The plant grows very well. But it's kind of pale and tastes like much. It's not juicy. You pick a fruit in the orchard from a tree. Ooh, it's good. The juice runs down your throat here and down your mouth. But if you buy one in the supermarket, it was picked green. It was crop sprayed. It never had the chance to be in the sun. It doesn't have the nutrients, so it tastes like nothing. Yuck, you want to throw it away. So this is it. It's not possible to get all the nutrients and the building blocks from food. Even if you eat organic, they also lack the nutrients in the soil. So now what happens? The plants are sick. So the plant doctor says, the big pharma, the big chemical industries like Bayer and Nestle and Monsanto, they say, well, here's some poison, spray the plant and all the germs will die and all the rot and the insects will die. So they spray the plant and all that poison goes into the plant and in the soil and in the water, and you're taking up all this soil. So now where you would have made $500 an acre in the old days of your crop, now they only make $50 an acre, 10 times less, because they give all the money to the big guys, because you have to spray, or your plants die. But the problem is not. The problem is the plant is weak because there's no nutrients in the soil. And very long ago, in the very old days, people had different ways to farm. They farmed on the banks of the rivers. That's where the water was, and the black soil from all the sludging and the flooding of the river. So every year the rivers would flood in the Nile Delta or the Vancouver Delta, or up there in Egypt, or even in where the Garden of Eden was in the Bible days, was where the Euphrates and 5 rivers comes together up there in the Middle East. And there's lots of rich soil today. Still, it's a paradise. Everything grows well there. That's according to the Bible, the location. So nowadays they build dams and they catch the water, entrapment for use by people and industry and in our taps. So the rivers never flood anymore. So there's no new minerals deposited on the banks. And people, before electricity was invented 120 years ago by Edison, people would make fires, little stoves, and what would they do with the ashes when they finished with the ashes? That's all the minerals, because they burnt away the wood. What's left is all the wonderful minerals. They would go outside and throw it in the vegetable garden, and the vegetables would grow. Nobody has ashes with the vegetable, and so this is a disaster. That's why there's no more, nutrients, not nearly enough. So you have to supplement, or you're going to live 15 years less, and you're going to get all these diseases. 64% of Americans have a chronic disease because their body cannot heal. And they think it's a disease and they treat the disease, but they're just lacking the nutrients. That's that simple. Okay?
Wow, that's incredible.
So that's
the first step.
Yeah, the three steps that you said. You told us the first one. What's the other 2?
Yeah, so discovery is very important. You cannot get the nutrients. You have to supplement all 90 in the right ratio, the right dosage, quality vitamins. You live forever, so to speak. The second thing is, now the design. We need to design a life that says, number one, gluten makes damage to the gut. It's very harsh. Gluten comes from the Greek word glue. So there's this thing in wheat that if you work the wheat in the dough, it becomes like a big elastic, like a pizza dough. That's gluten. When you eat the gluten, it sits in your gut and it's very hard to digest. It burns holes, literally burns little tiny holes in the gut. So you have leaky gut. Now all the undigested and the food and the junk and the toxins, because the toxins, your body throws toxins in the gut and it goes out the backside. But if there's little holes in the gut, it reabsorbs. All the toxins go back in the body. So it's like having a potato in your car's exhaust pipe. It's going to go bloop, 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 and it's going to die. You see? Okay. So that's the first thing. No gluten. In the old days, there was not much gluten because they used ancient grains and spelt, and they used teff and all these old-fashioned grains. Nowadays, it's all modified and genetically. But in the old days, they also had stones. So with the stones, they would grind the meal. And it would not break the little kernels up very much because you'd have this raw, rough. Nowadays, they have what they call steel cuts. So they have steel blades, and they grind this flour to a fine, fine, fine powder. So all the husks of the seeds of the grain is grinded up. So all this gluten is exposed. It never used to be in the old days with the grinding method. Never mind the genetic engineering or the GMOs. So, okay, gluten must be out of your life forever. There's many, I don't want to say you're not allowed to have gluten. We'd rather say the positive side of things is, yes, you replace it with something else. You can have just as much, but just replace it with non-gluten gluten stuff or gluten. All the shops have big aisles full of non-gluten or gluten-free, and it costs more or less the same. You can go to any pizza place and order a gluten-free pizza. It's on your table in 5 minutes. So there's no excuse to eat gluten. Okay, so no gluten. The second step of the discovery is, of the design is that we have to no sugar. So sugar, you ask why not sugar? Nature has some sugar in plants, like in the fruits, some sweet apple or a sweet watermelon, or in the vegetables, like in beet. There's lots of sugar. Those are double sugars. Mother Nature puts it there for us. We can eat it all day long. It's good. Your body needs a little bit of sugar, not a lot, about 2 teaspoons a day of the natural sugar. But now we have this white sugar. It's got 75 names that they give it. It's xanthan gum, and it's Barbados sugar, and it's fructose, sucrose, all these names on the label. But they grow. Sugar is nowhere out in nature to be found. You cannot find it unless you go to the bee's nest and you get stung on the head, and you get a bit of honey. But it's So what they do is they grow all these sugar canes, and they smash them, and they chop them, and they boil them, and they cook them, and they extract the sap, and they vaporize the water, and they do refine the sugar, and they make these big blobs of crystals, white crystals, and then they grind them with machines into this fine little powder that we put in our coffee and our tea. That's the bad stuff. It's a single molecule sugar, and it works like a drug in the body. Oh, wow. So this is how a drug works. Let's look at a drug quickly. A drug can do 3 things. In a small dose, let's take alcohol. So if somebody has a small amount of alcohol, then he gets all hyper. He's dancing on the table, and loud music, and he's he's out of control. He drinks a bit more alcohol. What happens next? He's half asleep. He's like half dead. Yeah. He goes numb. Yeah. More of the poison. If you eat a lot of poison, now you start vomiting. You have alcohol poisoning. If you even drink more, you die. So that's what these things do. So if you look at sugar, and a guy in a pub that's drunk, what does a guy in a bar do? I don't go to bars, but I've been in a few in my life and seen. They boisterous, they troublemakers, they bump people around, they don't sit still, they're loud, they won't listen to you, they don't agree with you. That's very much like a hyperactive kid. That's what the hyperactive kids do. It's like a little drunk guy, when he sways around and he falls over things. So what happens with sugar? It's very stealthy, but sugar, if you take a little bit, then it makes you hyper. And then what happens if the kid has a lot of sweets and he has a crash, he's on the couch, out, he's crashed, sleepy. And if he takes a lot, I've seen patients come into the hospital, a young guy, 23 years old, red hair, little freckles, beautiful, handsome, blue eyes. He sits on the bed. He had a rough weekend. He ate a lot of food. He ate a lot of sugar. They were partying, and they drink some beers. And he looks at me and says, "Doc, I don't feel so good." And he falls over right backwards. Oh, wow. So listen to this. I run over, and I call the nurse. I run over. The guy's dead. No heartbeat, nothing. Wow. So quickly we do the blood, resuscitate, pump the heart and ventilate. And the nurse checks the sugar, 35. His blood sugar is 35. He died from too much sugar, like this. Oh my God. You say that's rare, but look at diabetes. I mean, one of the big diseases in the country. That's most people on the planet die from diabetes. It's from sugar. So if you don't give the sugar to the kid, then he's going to become. Of course, he's addicted. He wants it. He's great, but he's going to fight you just like any other drug. You want the stuff because it gives you a kick. He'll get over it. And so we reduce the sugar less and less and less until we're off the sugar, and we use a natural one. So that's the second step of design is very important. And here's the third step. It's like now we can look at toxins and say, okay, let's reduce toxins in our life, the obvious ones. if a woman in the morning she wakes up, so by the time she gets out the front door, she has been exposed to 500 different toxic chemicals. Can you believe that?
My
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah. And men are not alone. Men have been exposed to two. By the time he's got his suit and tie on, he's out the front door, he's been exposed to 200, 250
Oh,
very
wow.
poisonous toxins. Now you say, okay, where are they?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in the water. There's chlorine, there's fluoride in the water when you shower. There's shaving cream. Okay, there's shampoo. There's soap. There's body wash. There's body gel. Now there's conditioner that to put on the hair.
Yeah.
Then you go and you brush your teeth. Fluoride, all sorts of preservatives in the toothpaste. Then you put on makeup, base. You put on eyeliner, lipstick. All these kind of things, puff, 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 here and there. You spray things under your arm, spray cheat sheet, you put on perfume, you put on a clothing that was washed in the washing machine with toxic detergents. It's in contact with your body all day. It's going to absorb into your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then you walk on the floor and wash with all these chemicals. Then you go to the kitchen, you flip an egg on the Teflon pan and all the preservatives and dyes and that's in whatever you eat, your gherkins and stuff. And then you're out the front door. So it's a disaster. But people don't know.
Right.
So anyway,
Wow.
so then we will identify. Yeah, then I help identify for the patient, or the client, the kid. What are the big toxins, the things that are really bad, like the fluoride in the toothpaste, and the preservatives in food. So let's eat more like fresh and raw food, and not the preserved things, and not all these little colorants and dyes, and knickknacks and chippies that's got all this yellow colorant in and all this. It's all on the label, so we just show them how to read the label and reduce until we've made way with most of them, and drink clean water with a filter, and then so that's. Then we've got the second step. So that's the second most important. But the most important is the nutrients. And then within 2 weeks, within a couple of days, that child flips over like this. You see, wow, is this my child? Wow, I got my child back. He's completely normal. His body can repair now. And the onslaught and the attack on his growing nervous system is less. So you got your normal child back. And then, in the second, I can tell you the third step if you want to know.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the third step is deliver. So now we have to deliver a few things. So first of all, I mean, how do people, especially if you have a hyperactive kid, how do you treat the kid? Sit still, come here, do that, come on, you jerk him by the hand, say, come on, time to eat now. Stop doing what you do. Pay attention, listen to me, I'm your mother. Yeah. I'm not talking again. Sit in the corner, shut up. Would you like somebody to do that to you? How would you behave if I do that to you all day long?
Yeah.
You are going to be a rebel.
Yeah.
You're going to kick my There's the golden rule in life: is do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. So a parent must sometimes do the things to your kid which you wouldn't mind if they do to you.
Right.
Then you're going to be halfway there with the kid. Yeah. The second thing is now the relationship and the family is a bit messed up, and your husband's just about to divorce you because a teacher from the school threatens if your kid doesn't sit still and you don't take him to the doctor for drugs, we're going to expel him. Mm-hmm. And you're a working mom and dad leaves the house early in the morning, and this kid is breaking your things and he's bullying the little sister and all that, and you shout at him and time out. So the relationship is not very cooperative. He does not listen to you. Mm-hmm. So we have to reconstruct. Once the hyperactivity is gone from the nutrients and the child turns over like this, we still have to go back, and I show people how to rebuild this relationship. It's very easy if you know what to do. You go step by step, follow the steps, and you rebuild this trust and relationship. And then what is the biggest urge and the biggest right of anybody on this planet in the world is to help. And we all deep down inside, we like to help people. If I can only help, I'm happy. I don't even have to get paid for it. I just want to help. And 99% of us are like that. So the child wants to help. So get him involved, let him participate. If you're making food, let him, even if he makes a mess, let him beat the egg up. And if he messes, you make another egg, and so on, so that he feels part of the family. Mm-hmm. And then your kid is almost back to where he was. And now, to get a power kid, you want this kid to perform. He's already bright, but he's distracted and he can't focus. And now he can, and we're going to put him into a way that he can actually excel and become like a super performer, like a power kid. So we need to know as a parent, and I have all the methodologies, I've studied this for all my life. What do we do? How can you determine what the child, where he's at, what he does not understand? So he said, Mom, I don't understand this, How do you determine what the child doesn't understand? Because he can't tell it because he doesn't understand it. So there's a very methodology. I have a little methodology with a demonstration kit. We gave him a little game He plays with the knickknacks. He illustrates to you, and then you can see from the outside, this is what he doesn't understand.
Right.
And the thing that people don't understand is not the new thing. If you don't understand how to ride a motorcycle, it's not the motorcycle you don't understand. It's the step just before the motorcycle. What was that? It was the bicycle. The bicycle where you thought you were doing well and you understood everything. That's where you have the problem. And if you can't ride a bicycle, nothing to do with the bicycle. It's the previous step. The tricycle. When you were riding the tricycle, you got out of gradient and you didn't understand something there. Now the next step you're having the trouble with, but you got to go back a step. And then there's only 3 reasons why a child gives up a study or cannot understand things. There's 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things. And if you check, has he got 1? Remedy it. 2, remedy it. 3, remedy it. And there's specific symptoms that a child gives when he has one of these 3 distinctive barriers to study. And I teach that also. Now the kid is a whiz. He's got no hypertension. He's eating healthy. He's routine. He's respected. The whole family's back together. He's stopping the toxins. No gluten. Low on the sugar. He can study. He's getting best marks in the class. He can become whatever he wants to in life. The sky's the limit. And this kid is cause. He's a power kid.
Wow.
That is incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah, what a great program.
Oh my gosh,
what a systematic approach to it, Dr. Chris. I love it.
Yes, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, we have people here who are loving what you're sharing, Doctor. It says, great. Della says, great information. Thank you. It is definitely a great information. Now, is this what your book is all about as well? Is that what you have in your, I know because you just published a new book, a brand new book. So tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, I've written 2 books this year with the COVID coming in, everybody locked down. I decided, okay, I'll put my knowledge in books and I'll design my business to the brim. So I wrote the first book. It was called No More Band-Aids, Finding Answers in the Broken Medical System. And I've just released 2.0, which is the next version. The first one was for everybody, for adults. It was also to do with water and what the beauty of water is and what a big role water plays and how you can increase your health. Like 50% of your problems is if you can just handle the water and the beautiful things in the water. Water has character. Water has 4 phases, not just ice.
Wow.
And water and steam is the 4th phase, which is the phase in the body. And if you know how to do it, you can make more of it. So that was the first book. It's not propaganda. It's just, and it's not anti-medicine. I'm a doctor myself. I speak for myself.
Right.
If I shoot doctors, I shoot myself first. And the book was to get people to think in a paradigm shift and see, wow, we have a responsibility to be healthy. It's up to us, not up to the doctor. We have certain things we must do and certain things we must not do. Now, this book, the new one, is the first chapter dedicated to my system for hyperactivity, ADD, and ADHD, so people can see that they can apply some of these things themselves. But if they want the perfect, remedy, and the beauty about this whole thing is it works 100% of the time. I guarantee it. If your child doesn't get better, I give you money back. You can keep your vitamins, all the stuff I gave you. That's how certain times this works. Period. Results. You can test anything by results.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, and the whole book is for you, so you can open up your mind and see, wow. There are possibilities. It's vast how things, the one follow the next thing, and how you can remedy all these things all by yourself if you just know the direction to look in. It also explains to you that if you visit a doctor, he doesn't just tell you take this prescription. You say, yes, doctor, no, doctor, everything you say, doctor. You say, wait a bit, I have the right, the human right, and the legal right to have consent. You need to tell me, how did you make the diagnosis? What special test did you do, and what was the conclusion of the test? How do you suggest treat it? What are the potential side effects, and what are the results we expect to be? And if you don't know, are not sure, then you need to refer me to somebody else. Or you can say as a patient, I want to go home and research this now. I will make sure. If you want to buy a car, you don't just run to the first car someone says, Peugeot is the best, buy a Peugeot. You go to 10 manufacturers, you test drive 10, you say, okay, you want to phone 10 people, 10 of your friends with a Peugeot. How do you find the car? It's good. Yeah, it runs like a baby. It never breaks down. If they all say that, you buy the Peugeot. Now you go to the doctor, just take this tablet. You say, yes, doctor, look, you drink it. Go get more opinions. Figure it out. Do some research. It's your responsibility. Otherwise, you end up like, the biggest cause of death in America is heart attacks.
Yeah.
600,000 people die every year of heart attacks. The second biggest cause, cancer. 580,000, that's more than half a million people die every year in the US from cancer. You know what the third biggest cause of death is? The number 3? You can Google this. I'm not making up. Google it. The third biggest cause of death in the United States. Medical mistakes in medicine. Doctors help people from the health. They don't die from the disease, they die from the health.
Oh
Check it
my
out.
goodness.
I would not say this if it was not 100%. You Google it, you'll see it. So yes, it's more
Wow.
dangerous. It's more dangerous to sit in your doctor's office than to have COVID, because you have 250,000, 250,000 people dies in the doctor's office. I'm saying it respectfully, but that's the statistics. I didn't make it up. You have to
That's
kind of
right.
think about this. You're responsible for yourself. Don't just do what they say.
Yeah.
And in my 40 years, I've seen more than 1 million patients, total adults and children together, more than 1 million in my life. You know what the biggest regret from people was? They don't mind if grandmother dies or if he loses a foot, the foot was gangrenous. The biggest regret was, you know what they tell me? Nobody told me, I didn't know. That's
Whoa.
the,
Yeah.
that's the biggest regret. So
That-
find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Google it.
Absolutely.
Wow,
Absolutely.
that's
That's
so cool.
incredible. Because that's what, we know now. What we know now is that always look and evaluate the data. Don't just blindly trust the source it's coming from,
Yes.
right? And that is
Yeah.
so true. And unfortunately, that's what's happening in this world around us today, right now with this COVID. It's fascinating how people are put into fear because of all that's being shared. We have a lot of comments, Dr. Chris. We have Della saying we trust the medical professionals without personal responsibility. And that is so true. We just trust them blindly, because they are the experts, no doubt. Like you said, they are the experts, but we also need to do some research on our part. And that is the personal responsibility we are talking about here.
Yeah.
Shamaya says it's
Yeah.
so true. It's always good to look for yourself. That's right, Shamaya. And we know, so that's amazing. We also have people here on my phone, on other platforms. They're saying very informative. Yes, it's been an amazing session.
It's really, really good.
It is
so,
so
Dr.
great.
Chris, I still have some more questions if you don't mind, because this is really
Welcome.
great information. And I have some more questions that are coming to my mind as we are speaking. And you mentioned that the vitamins and nutrients, some of these are important because the body does not manufacture it. But there are some things that we get through food, right? So what is the proportion, or what are we looking at in terms of what we get from food versus what we need to take as vitamin tablets and capsules?
Yeah, so this is a whole subject on its own. But now let me tell you, over the last 50 or let's say 100 years, the soil has been depleted, and all those things, the crop spraying, the mass production, the preservatives, the food processing. So there goes the vitality of the food, the nutrients of the food. So
okay.
I would people like you, I would say, okay, so what vitamins do you take? Because the patient, I take vitamins. Can you say what vitamins you would generally take? Give me an example.
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C, yeah. We take omega
Vitamin D, omega-3, yeah.
And then what else?
Vitamin, we have a multivitamin, so that takes care of a lot of other things that are plugged under multivitamin.
So about 10 things, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Yes.
Yeah, max.
Yeah.
10 max.
Yeah, that's very good. And what about the other 80? There's 90. You only take 10. What about the other 80? So you got one bag. You got a bag of cement and a few bricks. You're gonna fill the hole in your. You're gonna fix the house now with a bag of cement and a few bricks.
Good question. No, that is really a brilliant question. Yes, it has to be fixed. It has to be handled. I agree.
Yeah. And now the thing is this. I'm going to say the word Walmart, but not derogatory. I'm just saying it because this is what they have cheapest kind of stuff. Let's see, economical things. So you buy vitamins from Walmart, it says on the packet synthetic vitamins. It's not vitamin C, it's ascorbic acid. And they make these things, they manufacture them from other sources in the laboratory. And Mother Nature makes the molecule like a car. It's got the steering wheel's on the left-hand side. It's a left-hand drive car, so it's like built like this. But a right-hand drive car, the same, the steering wheel is on the opposite side, but it doesn't work on our roads. So Mother Nature makes everything turn to the right. So all the molecules of vitamin C turn to the right. They bend to the right. They bend to the right. If you manufacture them, half of the 50-50 in a test tube, half of them turn to the left, like a left-hand drive car, and half of them, the molecule is a right-hand drive car because it's made in a test tube. Your body can use a left-hand drive one, so it comes out your urine, expensive urine, but your body is actually a little toxic in the body. So only half of it can use. And then they also use dyes and colorants and preservatives and and fillers and compounds to put this into a presentable form, into a capsule or a tablet, pressed with a compound. Now, those are little toxic things too. You need to take natural derived plant-based vitamins, not animal-based stuff like churned up liver and stuff. You want plant-based. It must be organic. It must be gluten-free. It must be good quality. And yes, the big thing is it has to be in the right ratio. If you have this hole in the side of your house, you're going to buy. You call the truck. You get 50 loads of stone. You get 1 bag of cement, and you get like a little tin of paint. It's not going to cut it. You need 3 tins of paint. You need half a load of stones. You need 5 bags of cement and a small load of sand. Now you can make mortar and fix. It's all about the ratio. If you take too much, then you cause problems in other places. If you take too little, then you tip the scale this way. So you need a product that's good quality, that has all those aspects, the ratio, the quality, the source, and all the stuff. No preservatives, no dyes, organically grown plant material. Now you got good stuff. Your body can say, yum, yum, yum. I'm happy. I'm going to go healthy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
So that's great. So, doctor, I have, we started the conversation with ADHD, and as we're coming to the end of the hour, is there some things that you can discuss about how ADD and ADHD can be fixed? What other solutions or suggestions do you have in that area?
Yes, so let me ask you a question. I'll put this, I'd like to metaphorize something or give examples or little stories. So if you cut your hand, oops, you're making vegetables, cucumber, you cut a big cut here. Ooh, it doesn't hurt. You look down, oh, I'm bleeding, because it doesn't hurt. The injury doesn't hurt, but it starts to hurt afterwards. Okay, now you look at this thing. Now you're going to come to me and say, Doc, look at this cut, it's bleeding like a bugger, Okay, what can you give me for the cut? What must the doctor say now? I'm going to give you some Prozac because you're going to get stressed with a cut, and I'm going to give you some painkillers. Are you happy? Are you going to be happy?
No.
I want the Band-Aid. I want to put the Band-Aid on there. Still for a week. We are so used to getting something. Doc, I've seen a patient literally. He came to my office. He was about 45, a smoker. He sits down. He's overweight. He's getting chest in the pains. He taps on his chest. He says, Doc, what can you give me? Can you fix my ticker? I said, whoa, you messed it up. I got to fix it. We got to work together here, brother. We have to stop the cigarettes. We have to get fit, lose some weight. Yes, take a few medicines while your blood pressure recovers and your cholesterol, and you'll be okay. But I ain't going to fix your ticker if you think I'm going to fix you. So we go to the doctor, and doctor, what can you give me for blah, blah, blah? And then somebody would stop me in the supermarket, and I was, hey, doc, I'm so glad I'm seeing you, but I don't really want to talk business, but while I got you here, what can I take for my diabetes? It's out of control. I say, you know what? The way to fix your diabetes is you're not going to take something. You have to change your whole life. There's a lot of things wrong here, man. We got to look at you and slowly but surely we got to reform you. You're not taking something. So, okay, then the medicines don't work. And people go to the naturopath, and the naturopath said, those medicines are dangerous. I will give you something for you. Some plants and some minerals and some some stuff, some essential oils. I'll give you this for you, and we're going to heal you. Yes, they help the body heal, but the body heals itself. There's the big joke, it heals itself. You just have to enhance it. So if you ask me, how do I enhance my body to heal ADHD? It's not a disease. There's nothing wrong with you. Your kid is hungry. It hasn't probably got 20 of the 90s missing. You're supplementing 10. You've got 80 of the 90 missing. So help me, please. You've got problems too coming up. So you need to be informed and then have a source, a place where you can buy this and take it for life. It's going to cost you, the cost of a meal, of an expensive meal, 60, 50, 60 bucks or so a month is going to cost you. And you healthy, you're probably going to live 10 years longer. It's hard to measure, but if you die 10 years sooner, you're going to know about it. But nobody complains if they live 10 years longer. They're quite happy because it's not something you can measure. It's just a bonus. So you won't have disease and your body can repair. It's so beautiful. So what they need to do is they can get in touch with me. Because it took me many, many years it took me actually 40 years to discover it's about the building blocks. It's not about the medicines and all the herbs and the spices and the things. And the toxins. It's about the body's ability to heal. Let me tell you one more story. So when I was 16, I go behind the house. Me and my friend, we take a cigarette. We light up a cigarette. We take a puff. We cough. Then my friend was very worried. She said she thought she's going to get cancer now, and she couldn't sleep that night. I thought, I hope my parents. But you know what? You don't die from one cigarette. People smoke 40 to 60 years. Every day, 40 cigarettes. Breaks down the body, build up. Break down, build up, break down. Eventually, you get so far behind, you get cancer or emphysema or something like that, or heart attack, and you die from the cigarette. But you got lots of time to fix it, as long as the body can magically heal itself. So we need to get the nutrients. They contact me, I show them where to get the nutrients. They can start it, they'll see changes immediately. Even the factory, the people that make it, they guarantee it for 30 days. If you don't get results, if you think it's junk, you send it back. If it's empty or full, we don't mind, we give your money back. Where do you get that in life? What doctor's going to say, here's a prescription, if it doesn't work, I'll give you
That is
$50 and I pay for the medicine? Oh,
That's
no.
incredible.
I
That's
guarantee.
incredible.
I get results. Yeah, I guarantee it. So you get, what can you lose? You get your money back or you feel better? Are you serious? I'm in all day long. I'm in.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way they can contact us you is through this email we have up here on the banner here. It says showmehowdoc@gmail.com. I love that. Show me how doc. Yes, show me how. Good, awesome.
Yes.
Perfect.
I show you how. Everybody's important in my eyes. My purpose is to help people and show them the path to health and wellness. And if they don't feel that you got something, even if it's something small, it's not to do with ADD or ADHD, ask me. I will gladly answer you. Always at your service.
And this also applies to adults, right, doctor?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Anybody with a disease, I can help them on the side. My focus is ADD and ADHD, but I know I'm a general physician, so I know everything of and experience. So I can help you, guide you, give you advice. It's okay. I don't treat people. I fortify their body so it can heal itself. I show you how to do it.
Wow.
And I understand medicine. You're talking to the man that knows and that can guide you in the right direction.
Perfect.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. This was really informative. The information that you shared was really useful, and you definitely know what you're talking about for sure.
It was amazing. People are loving this conversation. So it was great information, and I'm sure each one of us got some nuggets out of it. It was fascinating. So good.
Wonderful.
We're so happy you accepted our invitation to join us on this interview today. So thank you so much for that.
But glad to help again. If there's another subject or anything you would like, then even on short notice, I'll be willing to help you out.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. We would love to have that, and love to have you back on the show sometime very soon.
Yes, for
Thank
sure.
You. Thanks for your good work. An excellent program.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.